Hi crafters, Raquel here with Paints and Glitter, and today I'm coming along with some of the items from the Tonic Craft Kit number 80, Just the Way You Are. This craft kit included some Nuvo markers, it included some Craft Perfect papers, of course, some glitter cardstock, and some really pretty stamps and dies that you could craft with. By the way, you could make this gorgeous 3D craft with it. So if you've not seen that video, I do encourage you to come along and watch so that you can learn how to create this gorgeous little basket with little fruits. And it is a scale, but it also doubles as a little gift box. So you can open the back there and just fill it with little fruity goodies, if you like, fruity candies. I think it'd be a lot of fun to do that. Today I'm going to share with you how I'm using one of the stamps, and this is going to be a super easy card. And what I wanted to show you is that you can take the little stamp, and this is a fruit slice. You can make it into anything you like, but what I'm doing here, as you can tell, is that I'm just going to stamp it out, and I always like to stamp it more than once, just to give myself some opportunity there to change my mind when I'm doing some coloring. But that's what I did. I stamped it out 3 times. Now, 2 of the stamps, as you see here, I actually stamped onto the background of what's going to be the front of my card. And I'll explain more on that in a minute. Using one of the matching dies from the set, which is this one here, I went ahead and cut out one of the little fruits, and then there it is, the little fruit slice. So you can do a lot with this, and of course you can also die cut many other pieces there to coordinate. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I colored this, and this was super easy using the Nuvo markers available. I took Bright Sunflower, and I decided to go ahead and color the inside little pieces here of this fruit. And that would be, I suppose, the pulp of the fruit. I think that's how you say that in English. And you can use any alcohol-safe black ink if that's how you want this to appear. That's marker number 403. Then using 401, which is called Lemon Drops, I went ahead and colored this outer portion here. And it can overlap. It won't matter because it's yellow on yellow, and it's really not going to lighten that first color terribly much. But you do want to make sure you stay within the lines and avoid the black ink if possible, because there is alcohol in the marker. Lastly, I took spiced orange, and all I did was follow the little outline here. Of course, you can move your paper to make it easier. Okay, and this little bullet nib really does make a difference. It makes it easier to color in those little small spaces. Now, of course, if you accidentally step out of line there, don't worry, because that's precisely why you would have stamped it multiple times, okay? And if not, don't worry, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. You can always embellish. What I did next was to take the die and cut that out of the background, and that's what you see here. Super cute. So what I also did is that using the other dies available, if you see there, I also went ahead and used these 3 dies here. And what I did was that I cut out pieces of card. I actually doubled these up. So the uppermost piece is just white cardstock from Tonic Studios, and then I doubled that up so it would be nice and sturdy, because I am going to be applying adhesive on here. But what I did here is that I had also cut using these dies. If you see there, they do cut those inner little pieces of the fruit out. I had cut out some other fruit for this little basket here. So the little pieces that fell out of there, I went ahead and saved. So those are going to come in handy to decorate my little panel. But first I did cut out a little panel that measures 3.5 by 4 inches. And using these solid dies, I just cut into that background. That's all I did. So I did that first. In fact, I cut all 3 of those dies right into that background. I then stamped the little fruit 3 times, as I said before, 2 on the surface and then 1 I cut away. Then on the back I did apply a piece of acetate using red line adhesive, and I then cut from the kit a piece of the glitter card. This, by the way, measures 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. Super easy. Then I took a piece of the champagne card. This measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 because it's going to cover the base of my card. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put this all together. So I'm going to set these aside for a moment. I'm going to apply adhesive here to this card. And I did use a piece of 110-pound card for my base that I cut at 4 1/4 by 11, and then I scored it in half at 5 1/2 there for a top folding card. And if you take a piece of 8 1/2 by 11 paper, just cut it in half lengthwise and you'll have the perfect measurement there. So that's the base. I'm then going to center this piece. And this card is just so pretty. I'm going to pick this up so I can actually see. And that looks about right. Have just a moment to move that about. And then my piece with the acetate. Now, you could turn this into a shaker if you want to. I do have these foam strips, something I like to use on my shaker cards. So just to make this a little bit more fun, oops, forgot that little piece. I'm going to apply this on the back all the way around and I'll be right back. And so what I've done is I've spooned onto the background here just some little sequins I happen to have in my stash. And they're little orange hearts and little yellow stars. Don't want to take this too seriously, so I am going to take, however, a little baby wipe and just wipe off any little lint that may have gotten on my acetate there. I want this to be nice and clean. And I'm removing the backing here of the foam, and you may notice that I did place 2 more little pieces kind of toward the center there. And the reason for that is because I cut apertures into that paper, then this would have the tendency to cave in. And you don't want that to happen with your shaker. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to try to move this toward the outside here. And it's going to be a little bit tricky just because I kind of piled it all in the center there. And it's okay if a few of them fly away. I'm not worried about that. Okay, so you kind of have to play around sometimes with these things, but I'll move one to one end and one to the other. I think that's how I'm going to be able to get this to work. Okay, so I'm now going to just strategically place this right on top. And those who made it in are going to be in. I want to make sure that they're not sticking to the border, of course. I think that's pretty cute. The other way to do this would be, of course, to try to be a bit more meticulous about the placement, but I've got some little shaker bits in there, and that's really not going to be the center point of this anyway. It's just fun to add. I'm also going to take the tweezers that were in the kit now, and I'm going to take advantage of these to place the little fruit that I had cut out of the white card, because this was meant to just be a design element here. And it is going to adhere onto that acetate just fine because I'm using Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive. And this is a great adhesive for all different types of materials, including acetate. I'm going to place that one there. So now I'm applying just the smallest amount of adhesive on here, just enough to get this to stick. Just like that. And I really love the effect of that. And then I did place some little dimensional adhesives on the back of my little piece of fruit that I had stamped and colored. I'm also going to supplement this with a little bit more liquid adhesive. And this little guy is going to be topsy-turvy here on purpose. A little bit farther up. I am going to use these little pieces of fruit that were left, otherwise would have gone to waste. I just thought they would look so cute as little accents and contrast of color on my card. You can tell just a little drop of adhesive is plenty for that. And of course you could do these in any color you like. I just wanted to take advantage of the pieces of paper I had left over. And don't forget this stamp and die set also comes with some little sentiments. This one says, "You're the zest." And I'm going to stamp this on the front of my card just using some black ink. And I'm going to place it down here. To add a little bit more zing, I can go ahead and add some little morning dew drops here and there. Why not? And this is going to add that little touch of fresh, fruity splash here and there. So I can add it, for instance, to these little drops. And this is going to help those stand out a little bit more. But I'm super happy with the results of this card. It was so easy to make. I hope that you enjoy it, and I'll be right back with a second little sample for you to make. Okay, to create this panel, I've gone ahead and stamped these little citrus fruits on the front, and I also took advantage of the markers available in the kit. I also supplemented it with number 416 Vine Leaf, and that was just for the darkest part of the coloring that I did. And then I did stamp and color the little flower that's available in the stamp set, and that's the larger of the two, but using the smaller one, I did go ahead and stamp on the background the poppy red ink and rubber duck to create that little pattern. So as you can see there, I stamped it a few times, and on these little flowers, I actually also took the Aqua Shimmer Pen, glitter gloss from Nuvo, and that's just a clear gloss to add a bit of shine to that. And then on this panel, I also took the orange marker, in fact, and just went along the edges with the chisel tip so that I could get that pretty little finish. And here from the kit, I've taken the green card. That's going to be my shadow panel. And then on the background here on my card, which is again 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, I've adhered the glitter card. So I'm going to just go ahead and adhere these two pieces together. And I just wanted to show you quick and easy cards that you could make using the items in this kit. I thought the stamps were so cute. Perfect for summer. So this is going to go right on top of here. This panel, by the way, was the same size as before, which was the 3 3/4 by 4 1/2 for the smaller of the two. And then the green panel measures 4 by 5, in case you're interested in those sizes. I did also add some of that double-sided adhesive on the back. And I'll supplement this with the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive because any temperature fluctuation might impact that adhesive, and I just want to make sure that there's an actual bond on that paper. This is going to help with that. Then using the stamp set, I did stamp out the phrase, "You're my main squeeze." And I'm going to be pairing that with a little rectangle that I cut out of that same glitter card. And I'm just going to be putting these together right on the front. And then I'm going to supplement that with one of the little flowers. I'm going to actually do this a little bit askew. So I'm first going to adhere the glitter card right on top. And this is going to be a little bit of an angle. Then the sentiment. And it is meant to be a playful card. So this is just going to go right on top, just overlapping. And then the little flower is going to be off to the side a little bit. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to be taking from the Craft Perfect a 2mm wide little dimensional adhesive. And these are just perfect for these small little pieces. And I'm going to double this flower up, just overlapping slightly there. And it's so adorable. I can also take that little flower, place that right inside my card. And if you'd like to, of course, you can use that little drop again, and you can select where to place this. I'm just going to do it right in the center of those three, and then I'm going to actually revisit those tiny little flowers, and I'm going to drop the tiniest little drop of that clear Nuvo drop just here and there. And that completes my second card. I think it's super cute. And there's the first. So I'll be right back with the third. To begin this card, what I've done is that I've taken the little stamp from the set that looks like a little lemon or a little lime, and I actually flipped it upside down onto my stamp block, and using that solid portion, which is actually what is considered the back of the stamp, I'm inking my paper, and as you can see, I'm simply overlapping the stamped image, and I'm not worried about the fact that it does create the little shadows in the center. I'm actually quite happy with that. But then I took 3 images cut out with the die set that are the same ones that you would use to cut those little lemons out of the background. I've created a little mask by taping 3 of them together, and as you can see here, now I'm using the stamp in the correct position, and I'm using some black ink and then moving my little pieces of die cuts around, which are my little masks. Now I can kind of dictate here where the stamp will actually leave that imprint. And of course you can do this whichever way you like, but it works best if you work from the background going forward. And that's why you see me overlapping that one little piece of paper on what's going to be the closest lemon to the front of the card visually. And there's the last one. And I hope that makes sense. If you don't like that overlapping, then of course you could simply use the stamp set by not stamping it overlapped, but by covering it with the same mask that I just showed you. So here I'm taking some sparkle spray, and I love using these sprays in my cards. They add exactly what it describes, a little bit of sparkle and tiny bit of shine here and there. So as you can tell, I've taken one of my little paint brushes, I added water to that, and then I just splattered the background. And that color, by the way, was the frosted lemon. And then using what was left on my stamp as far as the color that I had used to stamp onto the background, I added a little water to that ink, and I'm picking up that ink and applying it to this second little lemon that I have here. So of course that's a lot of fun to do, to mix and match, but this is going to be the brighter of the little lemons, as you can see there. And of course I'm drying everything so that I can apply it onto my card. And here you see that I did cut this piece down, And I've used the back of that for the stamping as I described earlier, and then I flipped it over and did the detail. So that's a really fun technique if you've never used it. Now I'm taking a Nuvo alcohol pen, and of course you can use these whichever way you like. I love using that chisel tip to color the edges of my paper. It gives it a nice little finish, and especially if you don't want to have to take out yet another piece of card. It's kind of a cheater method to give yourself a border without having to use more paper. So if you're concerned about bulk, then you can really use the brighter colors or anything like that. But this is going to layer on top of that gorgeous glitter card and then that lime green card, and that's going to be the base. I've made all of these cards the same size so that you can see how easily you can make some cards to gift or just to add to a collection that you may want to create. And they're all top folding, so they sit nicely on a mantle. And here I'm going to just go ahead and apply adhesive to the back of this card. Once I have the adhesive applied on the back, then I can go ahead and layer these pieces together. And I do like to supplement that dry adhesive with wet adhesive, as I have mentioned before, only because I do want it to create a really nice bond. But now what I've done is I've taken the same dies that you would use to decorate the upper portion of the little basket, and I've created a green and yellow basket here. So the background layer is that green card again, and then the uppermost layer is actually the champagne card that was in the kit, and then I did supplement that with little pieces of white card. And I will be finishing this particular card using some of the greenery that you can cut out with the die set, and then I'm adding the little lemon that I've colored using ink and a mix of sparkles spray. I'm going to be doubling this up because the first little lemon that I had colored, I cut really close to the stamp line, and I did that on purpose. And this, by adding alcohol ink to the second piece, is going to give me a little bit of a shadow and also a sturdy piece. And I'm doing this, of course, because I like to have a really good sturdy finish to my die cuts. And to second that, I'm going to do the same with the most delicate piece here, which is going to be the little leaf. So I will be applying one to the back of that lemon and another one layered on top. And that way I can assure myself that this is going to be really nice and sturdy. So of course I'm taking advantage of the tweezers included in the kit. They are perfect for these delicate little items. And this is going to now go on the little corner of this card. It'll adhere quite nicely for the perfect little pop of color. And don't forget, you can create these into other fruit too. So you can make little peaches out of this. And what I wanted to make sure of was that this didn't look like it was floating in the air. So I did take a very light gray alcohol marker from Tonic Studios, and I've just added a tiny little bit of a shadow underneath that lemon and basket. And of course, you could elaborate that a bit more if you want to. I just kept it quite simple. And lastly, I'm going to be adding the little white flowers to the front of this card. And my recommendation here is that if you do want a really nicely finished card, is that you use the thicker or nicer papers in your stash for the tiniest little die cuts. So for instance, these little flowers are so very small and delicate, so I made sure to use classic card. It's 80-pound weight, and of course you can double these up if you'd like to, but truthfully, if you even have little bits of watercolor card or 300 GSM card, they are perfect for these tiny little bits that you add as a detail on a card, because then it'll hold up better and you can still shape them. As you can see here, I'm using the tweezers. It makes it a whole lot easier after having applied the adhesive on the background to then apply the little flowers. And then I'll finish this card off with a sentiment that reads, "I love you." I've used some gold mirror card, and I'm doubling this up with a second piece of card right behind it. And I really like the size of those little sentiments. They're delicate, but they're so pretty. and I really love the results of these simple cards that I've created for you. Now the last thing here, of course, for another little bit of shine is going to be that clear Nuvo drop. Don't forget you also have a red glitter drop that you can absolutely use for this if you just want more pops of color on there. And there's a full range, of course, of Nuvo drops and markers and all the rest of it from Tonic Studios. I do hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know in the comments which card you may recreate using these items once you get them in your hands. And I really have enjoyed sharing these with you. So as I always say, I do hope that you can be inspired and be blessed. Please come back for more videos. And I wanted to share, I stamped the little envelopes also. So don't forget, you can also use that to just add a little surprise there for the recipients of your cards. I'll leave you here. Be inspired, be blessed. Thank you so much for watching.